I'm getting this sense that here in our society, on this planet Earth, we are at a particular time where we're just on the precipice of great change. Do you feel that? Yeah. And when we are feeling that, it can feel overwhelming at times to figure out what is mine to do in this. Thank you, Celebration. It's a new season, baby. Matt and Brian, thank you so much for jamming with us. We just love you, so thank you. We've got an amazing team. We've got such talent in this place. And so today what we are going to do, we are going to talk in depth about Unity's fifth principle. You know, the one that says, through our thoughts, our actions, our words, what? We live the truth. We live the truth, we know. And I don't know about you, but I'm getting this sense that here in our society, on this planet Earth, we are at a particular time where we're just on the precipice of great change. Do you feel that? Yeah. And when we are feeling that, it can feel overwhelming at times to figure out what is mine to do in this. So we're going to talk about that. How do you answer the call to live the truth? Right before I started writing this talk, I was on this app that's called Nextdoor. You know, Nextdoor app? I love that app. It's a great app. It talks about connecting community, connecting the neighborhood together. So I love that. I go out there periodically, especially since I'm new to the Austin area, to find out what's happening. And one of my neighbors was complaining about the trash that the homeless population are creating right at Lakeline Mall and 183. And as I was reading all of the responses, it was really interesting to hear what other people should do about the issue, right? And what was really heartbreaking for me was that most of them missed the fact that these were human beings not living their best lives, that they were battered people who were struggling with life. Unity Church of the Hills here, we see ourselves as spiritual practitioners, right? We don't talk about spirituality as theory. We talk about it impacting and changing our lives. And we say that all are welcomed here, and transformation is possible. And yet, I wonder what our responses would be to the garbage that has been created by the homeless. I wonder what our responses are when a homeless person simply hangs out at the grounds here and maybe takes a break from the heat by coming inside. I wonder what our responses are to the people in Afghan who are being beaten, tortured, and killed. You see, these are all tough situations, but they are here to ask us to respond from our highest self. Being the spiritual light in the world does not mean passivity, my friends. When we see abuse, neglect, or poverty, guess what? There's something for us to say and do. Being a frequency of love in the world means it is necessary for us to speak a strong no if we see something that is no longer acceptable. We are being called from Spirit to say no to any treatment that is less than human. Less than human. No one deserves to be treated less than human. Thank you. Thank you. So what happens once we say no to anything less than love? Once we awaken to the injustices in life? Well, the answer is short. We are called by Spirit to act. That's it. We are called by Spirit to act. often in New Thought spiritual communities, we kind of get stuck when action is needed. I think it's because we haven't had a lot of practice in how to act from our power-filled divine nature. I'm not saying we aren't loving people. Of course we are. And we've spent a lot of time recognizing there is only one presence and one power in the universe. God the good, God the magnificent. We understand that we co-create through our thoughts held in mind, and we practiced harnessing our thoughts and reframing our perceptions of the world around us. We've practiced using affirmative prayer to harness our power to co-create. We've practiced meditation to center in truth and love, which enables us to walk in the world as a loving presence. But you know what we haven't had a lot of practice doing? Taking those big, bold actions in communities, in our cities, in our neighborhoods to create the world we wish to live. Of course it's important to hold a high watch. Yes, it is, and it's necessary to move in love in action. Now, I know some of you are thinking, but Rev Sheree, we do stuff here. I know you do. And that's really cool, and that's what's attracted me to this community. You've done some wonderful things in the past to support those in need. Did you see my paper flying? What? Right? You've done the Habitat for Humanity, hands-on housing. You've done interfaith work. You've supported those in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. And those are powerful actions. And a lot of them were a long time ago, my friends. What? Yes, they were a long time ago. Some people say 5 years, some people it says, over 10 years. And you know what? That's like me saying, in 2010, I brushed my teeth twice a day for a year, and it's good enough. It's like us saying, we marched in the 60s, and it's no longer necessary for us to act on inequality or hatred. So the question is, how much do you want to change the world? A little or in a huge way? Because if you want to change the world in a huge way, it means staying engaged with what's going on in the world and taking steps, actions to make it better. When I was writing this talk, a biblical verse came to mind. And it was that one that says, faith without works is dead. Faith without works is dead. We could say affirmative prayer without works is dead. We could say meditation without works is dead. This quote comes from the book of James, chapter 2, verses 14 to 17. And it says this: what good is it, my brothers and sisters, if you say you have faith but do not have works? Can faith save you? If a brother or sister is naked and lacks daily food, and one of you says to them, go in peace, keep warm, and eat your fill, and yet you do not supply their bodily needs, what is the good of that? What is the good of that? So faith by itself, if it has no works, is dead. So faith by itself, if it has no works, is dead. So I'm going to give you a little backstory. The book of James is written to the Jews in dispersion. So what does that mean? It means that these were the Jewish converts to Christianity that were scattered throughout the Roman Empire. And the identity of the author has been kind of challenged by different theologians, but it seems when you do enough reading that it's James the Just, the brother of Jesus, who wrote this book. And he was the leader of the Jerusalem Council. And what that means is he stayed in Jerusalem and led the Jews that were converted to Christianity. Paul, the Apostle Paul, he went all around the world, right? He spoke to the Gentiles, the pagans, to convert them to Christianity. And because of the tone of this book, this is before Paul had some issues with those Gentile converts, because the tone of this chapter, this book, is very Hebraic, meaning that James was writing to a people that understood the Hebrew laws. And what he was saying to them is, dudes, you got to live the law. Live the law. This is a call for the practical application of Jesus' evolution of consciousness. You see, we quote Jesus. We talk about Jesus as our way shower. But you know, Jesus didn't just sit and talk and explain truths. Jesus healed the blind, healed the lame, resurrected the dead, fed the hungry, changed consciousness, and so much more. James is reminding these converts that saying something like, I behold your divinity. What? I behold your divinity is meaningless without taking actions to support those in need. James is asking, how would empty words help those who are impoverished? How would empty words help you to grow in consciousness? Let's face it, if your words are simply to make yourself feel better or give the illusion of sympathy, then they are empty. Let's look at another example. If we see the degradation, torture, killing, and systemic devaluation of people of color's lives, and we say, that's so horrible. That should not be happening in 2021. And then perhaps offer up an affirmative prayer. That, my friends, is the epitome of prayer without works is dead. Did you hear me? It is fake faith and mock charity. It is the outpicturing of an unawakened consciousness and our inability to be compassionate. Saying we are an evolved consciousness and taking no action is simply lip service to an imaginary stat us. Did you get that? I'm preaching today. Gloves off, baby. We're preaching today. Our works must manifest as the practical application of spiritual evolution. That's what we're being called to do. Walking in the world as an awakened consciousness means, yes, we pray and meditate. We also look at our unconscious biases that allow us to support broken systems in place, which can only thrive our ignoring those who are in need. So let me say that again. We look at our unconscious biases because they are supporting systems that can only thrive by the detriment of others. Others in need of homes, need of income, need of equality, need of security. And once we challenge those inaccurate beliefs of separation, we then must take action to eradicate the systems which abuse those less fortunate. How can we do anything else? It's a threefold process. Total engagement of our mind, our soul, and our body are required. From the mind, connecting with our highest self through prayer and meditation, to receive those downloads which give us the thoughts to co-create. From our soul's perspective, to discern truth. We are divine human beings. All of us are of God. All of us are equal. And then allowing that truth to permeate our being as we challenge any false beliefs. And our body to take those actions from those downloads, from those truths, to manifest into creating a new world that works for all. Now, I know this may sound irreverent for some of you, but somehow in our magical thinking, we've come to believe that the evolution of consciousness means we must be happy at all times, we must be comfortable, we must not rock the boat, we must not say no, we must not speak up when things are being treated badly. That's not what evolution of consciousness is. Evolution of consciousness means we allow all of the emotions that we experience on this planet, first of all, to be acceptable. All emotions are necessary, just as the rain and sun are necessary. One is not better than the other. We need both. We need all of it. It also reminds us that all the experiences that we have in our life is for our highest good. But here's the other piece of that. Evolution of consciousness means we aid our brothers and sisters, knowing that they are of God. Therefore, they are of me, they are of you. Evolution of consciousness means I can change beliefs that no longer serve me and are not of truth. Evolution of consciousness means I know there is enough for all and I can never outgive God. Evolution of consciousness means I am my brothers and sisters' keeper. Evolution of consciousness means I may be afraid, but I have enough faith to take action on behalf of another. So when we ask ourselves the question, what is ours to do? You know, I've got some suggestions for you. My first is always to start with love. Let love be your guiding compass. And then first, love yourself. As you look at your unconscious biases, do so without judgment. Because here's the thing, my friends. If we were raised in Western culture, we have biases. Each and every one of us does. I have biases. I work at them. But we all have biases. And ours is to discern what they are, release them, and create new ones. If we're co-creators, we can create new beliefs. It's possible. Second, love others. So as you observe actions that people are taking imperfectly or imperfectly to make a difference in the world, observe them without judgment. Observe them without judgment. Because you know what? Their actions are going to run the gamut, anger to apathy. And know that they are doing the best that they can in that moment. So when you see the homeless underneath the underpasses of 183 or any other highway, instead of sitting in judgment of them, how about they're doing the best that they can? How about thinking, what could have happened in my life that would have made me believe that that is my only option? You see, it's in our belief in separation that we create this us versus them mentality. And we forget to love our brothers and sisters as ourselves. The roots of biases in this country, they are long. And they are multi-generational. And you know what? That means it's going to take a long time to work that through. But we can work that through. The next is to focus then on what your next step is. So looking at what's right in front of you now, because what do we know? We only have this now moment. And act from there. So what can you do? Here's some tips. You can read a book about institutionalized systems. You can write letters to the editor, letters to people in prison, letters to workers who are making a difference in the world. You can strike up a conversation with someone outside of your comfort zone. You can watch the movie Just Mercy, which is a powerful movie about the injustice of the prison system. You can join a social media group that is taking actions. You could look for what people are doing and be inspired by them and join them. You can house, feed, clothe, visit those less fortunate. You see, it's across the gamut. You don't have to do something huge. How about visiting someone who's lonely? Someone who doesn't have food, bring them a meal. All of that, my friends, is taking action. You can also take a class to discern what your spiritual gifts are, so that you can get more clarity on what's yours to do and give. And guess what? We're offering that class here at Unity Church of the Hills. Coincidence? That class is starting on September 19th. It's a 3-week class with 2 weeks of practical, how are you going to use your gifts once you've discerned what they are? How about that? And then we're going to have a party on 11/7 where we get to celebrate all the things that you've done in that 2-month period using your gifts. And here's one idea that I just thought was pretty profound.
Nathan's side and my side.
Tracy Jocelyn says this temporary shelter is a godsend.
We got a beautiful bed. Most of them have a raised up bed.
It's only 60 square feet of indoor living space.
It's just really warm and awesome and amazing.
The main thing, it gets Tracy off the streets and into a secure spot.
When you have a place to keep your possessions dry and safe instead of hauling them around, then you can start stabilizing your life and figuring out what the next step is.
They're known as Conestoga huts. They got the name Conestoga huts because they look similar to a Conestoga wagon, the precursor to the prairie schooners that helped settle the West.
I designed the Conestoga hut.
Eric DeBurr of the group Community Supported Shelters is the driving force behind this effort, all from donations. He says Conestoga huts are stronger and more permanent than tents, and at $2,500, much less expensive than tiny homes, which can cost anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000. And they take only a few hours to assemble, rather than weeks for tiny homes.
Oh, it's a great idea. It's very transitional.
David Qualley leads a group of volunteers from the Eugene community in putting in the finishing touches in their 84th Conestoga hut.
They're weatherproof. They're insulated, they're lockable, which is really important because a lot of people on the street lose their stuff.
I would say this place pretty much saved my life.
James Clapp lives at the Conestoga Hut Village designed especially for veterans. There are several of these group sites around town, and they're empty during the day, with people living here out in the community getting mental health services and job counseling.
Where I'm going to go from here, I'm looking for new employment opportunities.
But Eugene is one of only 2 Northwest cities to embrace the idea of dealing with homelessness in this fashion.
They look nice and they look orderly, and so I think people in the community appreciate the look of it as well.
It was fantastic. It gave me a stable place to operate from.
And Jeff Howard says the program works. He's gone from a Conestoga hut to his own apartment and a future.
One person. Now, if someone here, a group here, as you're looking at your gifts and you feel called to do that, Graham and I have decided we will fund the first house out of our money. This is important stuff. I get emotional. I know I got tongue-tied a few times as I'm talking about this because it matters. It matters to me, and I'm passionate about it. And because I'm passionate about it, don't hear that that means everything else doesn't matter. This is my passion. What's your passion? You know, maybe your passion is to teach others how to center and to meditate, and that's good. We need all of it, my friends. We need all of it. So just hear that before you start writing me emails. Just hear that. Lastly, be patient with yourself and others when you start this process. Do baby steps. Find something really small to start with. And as you take those steps, you'll find that the steps get bigger. You'll start running. Doors are going to start opening. And it's a whole new way of being. So be patient with yourself, be patient with others, because guess what? We are going to do this very imperfectly once we start going. We're going to make a lot of mistakes because we know mistakes are the stepping stone to something greater, right? So I invite you to really jump into this fall faith that we're doing, looking at our spiritual gifts and pushing outward into really making this world a place that we get to say, yeah, I touched that. Yeah, I helped over there. And that's better because I was there with that.